Hello doctors, now we are with a very interesting topic called aesthetics and prosthodontics. So aesthetics and prosthodontics, especially coming to certain definitions, aesthetic as such cannot be defined, but yes, it is a concern with the beauty or the appreciation of the beauty according to Oxford Dictionary. In Plato's word, it is beauty is the measure and symmetry and virtue the world over. Dental aesthetics, according to GPT, is the application of the principles of aesthetics to the natural or artificial teeth, and restorations is called the dental aesthetics. Now we have classified into different composition, contrast, unity. We'll see one by one what it is. Composition means the act of combining elements or parts to form a whole. That is, the various physical attributes of the elements of a composition that imparts the aesthetic value. Whereas contrast is that factor which makes the various elements of the composition visible. The eye can differentiate the parts of an object due to contrast of color, lines, pattern, textures, etc. Whereas what is unity? It gives different parts of the composition the effect of a whole. It can be static or dynamic. Unity between different parts of the face, teeth is essential to give the effect of oneness or wholeness in the dentofacial composition. Like for example, the unities should be maintained. There has to be equal compositions present. This is more aesthetic than this, or the arrangement of the teeth is more aesthetic than this, or is it due to the photograph that both are looking different and is the same? All about aesthetics, that is. Coming to cohesive and segregative forces. Any element which tends to unify a composition is called a cohesive force. A border is a cohesive force, as well as arrangements of elements in a definitive form, that is, or according to the principle, is a part of cohesive force. Whereas segregative forces, what it will be? Like this arrangement of those elements which break the monotony of the composition. Like naturalness has combination of cohesive and segregative forces. A proper mixture of segregative and cohesive force adds variety of composition, making it more dynamic and interesting. So what example is symmetry then? What exactly is symmetry? So it is a regularity of arrangement of forms either from the left to right, as in horizontal symmetry, or from center point in either sides of the mirror, like radiating symmetry. The horizontal symmetry looks repetitive and uninteresting, while the radiating symmetry looks dynamic and interesting. In a dentofacial composition, radiating symmetry of a teeth is more aesthetically appealing and is associated with youthfulness, while horizontal symmetry is less appealing and is associated with aging. Coming to the proportion, what exactly is proportion? To be able to certain mathematically representation of beauty for numerically expressing the relationship of the various units that combine to make composition, the term proportion is used. So the relationship, what is a repeated proportion then? So it is the relationship of the various units which are different from each other in a composition, but are associated with each other through a certain repetitive mathematical factor. It's called repeated ratio. The proportion between the various elements of a harmonious composition in which the cohesive and the segregative forces are equally balanced and which has its various units in an aesthetically appealing respective proportion to each other, that is called golden proportion. Now golden proportion comes from where? Golden proportion comes from very old age, that comes from the Egyptian times and the different monuments which were prepared in the golden proportion. What does that say? That says that the ratio of canine is to lateral incisor, canine visibility to lateral incisor to that of the central incisor is constant, is 1. So that is golden proportion. also it says that the face God has made to us is also in golden proportion. The upper half and the lower half is like two circles. There's a bigger is to smaller. There's a ratio. Always. For example, from the hairline to that of the nose, glabella to that of the subnasal area, to that of the lips and to the chin base, all are in proportion. That is what is saying even the golden proportion. So for example, central incisor to that of the lateral, central incisor to lateral 1 is to 1.67 is to 0.67 is to 1. So this is how with 0.67 the ratio is increasing. That is called golden proportion. This. Every face, every object when in golden proportion will look aesthetic. Once it's not in golden proportion, of course it doesn't look aesthetic. There's something other called red proportion also, recurrent aesthetic dental proportion as well. That is every teeth they have a recurrent aesthetic dental proportion. That means canine is to lateral, 2 is to central, all have a single ratio, 70, 60, 50, 40. So now let's see what is balance. Balance is achieved when there is an exact equilibrium between the forces present on either side of the fulcrum in a composition. In dentistry, this implies that the balance of element in relation to the midline. So for example, if I have to go from the midline, central incisor, to the ends, then that will be the balance. It is achieved when there is an exact equilibrium between the two forces present on either sides. What is in visual tension? A dot present on a corner of a box is brought about by a presence of certain elements that cause an imbalance in the given proportion. Is this balanced? No. This is giving some visual tension. Your attention is going there. It is not seeing the box in whole. Whereas if I see this, it's in between, it's in proportion. Or this, even in proportion. Coming to what is dominance then. Like our canine, is it dominant? It exists when a strong centralized structure is surrounded by a well-demarcated characterized structures. In a dentofacial composition, it creates immaculate unity leading to a harmonious composition. The absence of the dominance makes the composition weak. Color, shape and size are the factors which can control dominance, of course. And that is how, like if the person is having a yellow shade in him due to tea stain, cigarette smoking, so that will be dominating in that particular patient. That color will be dominant. If, for example, a patient is having a bodily shift of a central incisor or a canine, so that particular teeth will be dominant. So what are the structural aesthetic components that we saw till now? It can be facial components, like for example, it can be facial features. It can be the visibility of the teeth. Components of the smile can be the lip line, how it is. How is a smile line? How is the upper lip curvature? How is the negative space present between the buccal corridors? Smile, symmetry, the dental components per se like dental midline, golden rule, axial alignments, dental morphology, contact points. We'll come to gingival components like gingival morphology and gingival contour as well. Let's start with the facial components. In facial components, we have certain facial features that we are supposed to note with. There are grooves, labiolingual groove, nasolabial groove, we have mentolabial sulcus. We need to mark all these things. Coming to the next is the tooth visibility. With age, the visibility of the maxillary decreases and mandibular teeth increases. Similarly, the visibility of female to male patient varies. In smile and in talking condition, it should be 1 mm visibility. For females, it can be 1.5 to 2 mm visibility. It is more important for females than male as an average exposure of teeth. Yes, twice that is of females in that of the male. Coming to the lip lines. There can be, see, there's a high lip line. So for those, the gummy smile is there. But for some patient, this gummy smile itself is a beauty. Beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. It is not decided by the dentist, not decided by that person. It is in the eye of the beholder, whoever sees that. At times a low lip line is also good, and a medium lip line. This is there available. Now lip line is based on what? It is based on the length of the lip. Short lip length, high lip line will be present. So what is a smile line then? Smile line is a hypothetical line which is drawn along the edges of the four anterior maxillary teeth that has a coincide to run parallel with the curvature of the inner border of the lower lip, like this. That is called smile line. So feminine type of smile line, a masculine type of smile line is also different. A masculine kind of smile line can be almost straight, whereas a feminine have a very beautiful curved smile lines. Coming to the upper lip curvatures, certain people have different type of upper lip curvature. Some have straight, like this is a straight. Some have directed upwards, some pronounced downwards, slightly downward, or this is almost straight. So these are the different kind of, upper lip curvatures which is present, and these upper lip curvature will give the effect on the smile as well. Coming to the negative space. Negative space of the buccal corridors are very important for a natural teeth. And so for example, even when we are fabricating a complete denture, we try and give this kind of buccal corridors or the negative spaces, that dark space which is present, that aids into aesthetics. If we don't give that, it looks like a denture teeth only itself. So it's better to give a buccal corridor. Coming to the smile symmetry. In fact, smile symmetry is based on the interpupillary distance to that of the lower edge of the incisors. That will decide the smile symmetry. Also, that will be decided how? That will be decided with the lower part of the vermilion border to that of the lower lip. These are parallel. At times, interproximal line is not parallel. That may be because of the lips, paralysis of the lip, or some lip factors. So, coming to the dental components, dental midline. Are we supposed to follow the frenum? Are we supposed to follow the philtrum? Are we supposed to follow the facial midline? The recommendation protocol glosses the placing the midline precisely in accordance with the facial midline or midline of the mouth using the incisive papilla and labial frenum as a landmark. Old. So we are supposed to take the facial midline. Never establish it precise midline because it may contribute to artificial appearance. 90% according to Dawson says that the upper and the lower midline do not match naturally. So it is an imaginary vertical line that separates the two central incisors. That is itself is what is called the dental midline. Golden rule, let's see how it says that. That's what we spoke about. If our central incisors are 1.618, laterals will be 1.618, and the canines will be 0.618, not 1. It will be 0.61, this picture. 1.618 in centrals, laterals will be 1, so canine visibility will be 0.618. So this is called golden proportion. What is axial inclination? We know during the arrangement of an artificial denture teeth we had seen that every teeth has got its arrangement in an axial inclination. Now that axial alignment was for central incisor parallel or slightly distal drift, mesial distal drift, canine straight or little distal drift. So this is the axial arrangement. Now why is this kind of arrangement required? This kind of arrangement is required to find out the zenith points. So when the zenith point of these will form also a curve, nice curve when we smile. Coming to the dental morphology, characterization of anterior segments. Now characterization of anterior segments can be based on Frush and Fisher's theory again. There is a SAP theory, sex, age and personality. So based on the sex of the patient, feminine or masculine, age of the patient, young or old age, personality, weak or vigorous, we can, give the kind of teeth that we require. See, for example, sex of the patient, if it is aged, we can give, not sharp, rounded kind of border. Young, we can give long, sharp teeth. Masculine people again will have straight, long teeth, whereas feminine will be little curved. Weak personality, canine, cervically will be little out, bodily shift inside, outside. Vigorous personality, the incisal edge of the canine will be little outside, that will show vigorousness. Whereas, what did Ruffinick say? Ruffinick also gave us SAP, but that was not sex age personality, that was sexual type, aggressivity and personality. Ruffinick, for that matter, in his book he did not follow SAP at all, but yes, he spoke about that every teeth based on the sexual type, like personality, objective criteria and the subjective criteria were taken into consideration, and he said morpho-psychologic profile rather than going ahead with the sexual and age and personality factors. Mesiodistal width and incisal-gingival width, how it will be bizygomatic width and maxillary central incisor width 1/16 we know. Bizygomatic width and maxillary anterior teeth width 1/3. The skull length and the maxillary incisor length, we know it is 1/20th. The skull circumference and the width of maxillary incisors. Nasal width and maxillary incisor width. Angle of the mouth and maxillary anterior teeth is also important for that. Coming to the next one should be the contact points. We all know that the ICP, the intercontact points are area from that of central incisor to central incisor to that of central to laterals to that of lateral to canine. See, all moves up. What is the reason? Number one is the gingival contour. Number two, the smile line follows this lobe. So that is the reason the contact points are also in this way. Coming to the gingival component, what is this red marks which is marked over here? This is called the zenith point, the highest contour. Now for the zenith point, the location of the gingival zenith in relation to the axial tooth axis is always distal maxillary central incisor and canine, and it almost coincides with lateral. You can see it is distal, centrals, canine, all is placed distally, except for that in lateral, which is centrally placed. Okay, so zenith in all the teeth are distally placed except for that of laterals. Now psychological perceptions that can be due to environment, that can be psychological factors, that can be hereditary, all this contribute to something intellectual personality of the patient. When the intellect of the patient mixes up, he asks questions to himself. There will be psychological answers to those. Psychological answer and psychological perception of the patient with his own intelligence will give him the right taste of aesthetics. And that is the reason aesthetics is not a science, but it's an art. It's a beauty altogether. So aesthetic is to be considered not as a principle, but it should be considered whichever suits best to that particular person according to his or her own requirements and the structure of the body, personality of the patient. Aesthetics is to be decided. Aesthetics and cosmetic, the basic difference is that aesthetic is something which is natural, whereas cosmetic is something which is artificial. We need to try to make our dentures, partials or fixed partials, any dentures, any prosthesis more aesthetic rather than cosmetic.